Hey everyone, welcome to DevRunner. My name is Paul. I'm an endurance runner and an RRCA certified running coach. And this is Subscriber Spotlight, where I have conversations with inspiring runners to motivate you on your running journey. My guest today is an ultra runner hailing from Texas. His YouTube channel delivers adventure, beautiful views, thoughtful gear reviews, and awesome weight training live streams, which I'm always just glued to. It's my pleasure to welcome the host of Richard Runs Trails to the show. Richard, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. It's great to join you.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. I know you and I, especially lately, have been going back and forth a lot during your weightlifting live streams because I always have so many questions about how I can get my strength training into a better place, and you've always got the answers. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, it's good fun.
Cool, man. So just to get started, I'm hoping that you can give everybody just a short bio. Tell us about where you're from, who you are in general, anything that you want people to know right from the get-go.
Okay, I grew up in Texas, southern Texas, and lived here most of my life. My background, I'm a China sourcing expert. I'm in the components, and currently I'm working in telecom, 5G. So during those adventures, I spent 10 years in China running sourcing groups and running factories. One, I guess, a stupid human trick that David Letterman would say is I speak good Mandarin. Most people don't know that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we still have a house in West China, in Chengdu, which is near Tibet. And so very familiar with Asia. And so spent 10 years there, and then I also lived 2 years in the Bay Area, which actually got me into trail running.
Okay.
Before that, I was only doing road running, which we can talk about. And
Gotcha,
yeah, so I spent 2 years there, and then I came back to Texas, and I've been here since back in Texas since about 2016. Stay real busy, have some young children. One's 7 years old, one's 9 years old. Keep me very busy.
Oh yeah, it amazes me that you still have the strength at the end of the day to lift weights.
Yeah.
Like, you're always out there lifting, like on your channel, like late at night, and I'm always like amazed that you're able to even be awake at that hour. Never mind lifting weights.
Well, I think they give me energy, and like my daughter, both of my children are both YouTubers also, which kind of got me into YouTube, which we can talk about later. But my daughter would join me in the gym, sometimes my son, so it kind of influenced to them as well.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So let's just get started. Let's go way back and talk about your athletic background and go back as far as you want to, whatever you think is relevant.
Okay. In high school, didn't do very much. I was actually very involved in motorsports. I was in the motocross for like 10 years, made it to a pretty high level.
Wow.
I consider that probably the most dangerous sport that I've done in my life. And we didn't have the tools they have today, like hydration and stuff that we use in running, in motocross they use now, but back then they didn't have that. When I got into college, I did intramural sports, football and stuff, but then got into boxing. My fraternity, we made money from fight night, and we were real big into it. We teamed up with the local boys club, and I was an executive in the fraternity, so everybody wanted to fight me, beat me up. There was a lot of rivalries on campus. And that's actually how I got into running, because just like in the Rocky movies, the boxers need to run. So me and my fraternity brothers would run, and then over the years, I wasn't very good at boxing, but the running stuck with me, and so I've been running for 35 years, probably. Most of that was road running, done over 25 road marathons, mostly in US, some in Asia, and got into triathlon for a little bit, Olympic distance triathlon. I was a terrible swimmer, so I didn't enjoy that very much, but I really liked cycling. I did a lot of mountain bike off-road races. I remember I did like a 100-mile race on a mountain bike in Kansas one time. I did many criteriums, 100-milers on road bikes. And then I got involved in duathlon, which was real big in the 90s, that's where you run, bike, run.
Okay.
I really like that, but they don't. It kind of died out, and then kept road running. Even when I was in China, I mean, I ran the Shanghai Marathon twice. I ran Hong Kong once, and did a lot of running over there. Trail running too, it's big over there. But then when I moved to California, when I was coming back to the U.S., trail running, the mecca is really in California. That's where the biggest part, concentration of racing is. Signed up for 50K, and then it grew from there, and I've gone over 45 ultras. So
That's amazing. So I've got to ask, and before I ask this question, I just have to say one thing. Even though this is not a triathlon or a biking channel, the idea of 100 miles on a bike in Kansas, that's got to be monotony. I mean, I don't know.
It is.
I just picture it as just like this endless plain of nothing.
It is, but in West Kansas, they've got quite a few hills. But it was pretty flat. It was a lot of farm roads. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. So let me ask you this then, just to kind of bring it back into running. What do you consider the highlights of your running journey so far? Like, are there particular races or even like periods in your life where you were running in a particular place or the types of running you were doing that you consider the highlights?
For a long time, I just wanted to experience marathons in different places. I ran a lot of marathons in Texas, all the majors in Texas. I ran some in Mississippi, all over the place. I ran some in Asia. So I really enjoyed going to new venues and doing that sort of thing. Highlight race, I got into ruck racing 4 years ago. That's when you have a backpack with a steel plate on your back.
Yeah.
So I was racing with a 20-pound plate, and I won. I was 53 years old, Paul, and I won the race outright, even over the young people.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that's definitely the highlight. That was an interesting one because it was a 48-hour race, and I ended up sleeping maybe 15 minutes. And I was racing against some guys. I've never been in the military, but I had a lot of friends in the military, and I trained with them and stuff, running and stuff.
Okay.
But the guy that was leading the race until 20 miles was a Navy SEAL, and he was probably in his 30s.
Wow.
And this is very related to ultra running, because the reason I like ultra running is because of all the project management with hydration, nutrition, chafing. There's just so many variables. In this ruck race, I was competing against Army guys that were trying to race me in jungle boots. And I had my 100-mile Ultra Olympuses on.
Okay.
So their feet were trashed after 30 miles.
Imagine, yeah.
Mine were not. But I kept going, and it was a tough race. They tried to catch me, but towards the end, they gave up, and I ended up winning that race by 25 miles.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I covered 100 miles in 48 hours with a 20-pound plate on my back. So that was definitely the highlight. And it was impressive to me. It was motivating to me because I was racing, military guys, which are used to racing with rucks. That sport is real big, but it's mostly military guys. So
yeah. Whenever I see them, even road marathons, it's always a guy who's like got the military gear.
But I still even today. I mean, last week I used my ruck. I have a 20-pound and a 30-pound plate in it. I use it for training. It's great.
Wow, you fill my head with so many good ideas about how to get stronger. It's just amazing just listening to you. And
it keeps it interesting because I get bored, just running. I'll cycle, or if I'm injured, which happens frequently as I'm older, or if it's after 100 miler and I can't run for 2 weeks, I'll just weight train every day, or I'll go hiking, or I'll use my ski machine. I've got so many different things I like to do.
That's so cool. And I would imagine, like you said, if I think it's just the nature of the beast. Sometimes runners, whether you're a road runner or a trail runner to a certain degree or another, there are days and maybe stretches of weeks where you're just kind of going through the motions and it's not really getting you excited anymore. But these are all great suggestions of ways to kind of keep yourself charged up. So yeah, this is one of the reasons why, everybody, that I love watching Richard's channel, because he's like this magic guy. He's very soft spoken, but But Richard, you're so full of good ideas, whether it comes to weight training or ways to stay interested in running, or finding other ways to get strong and stay resilient so that you can continue running. It's just great stuff, folks. So
oh, thank you. Yeah, I just try to keep it interesting, and a lot of it I've learned through trial and error. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just really great stuff. Everybody, when this is over, or if you want to pause this right now and then get over to Richard's channel and get yourself subscribed, please do that. It's just good stuff. I always enjoy his content. So
thank you.
Richard, let me ask you this. What motivates you now? What are your future running goals?
That's a good question. I've been doing ultras for a while, and I've now kind of moved in what I consider the master's level of ultra, the most difficult races, and I've slowed down. These are races that in Texas we have pretty much flat races. So last year I did several races in Arkansas, which are just really difficult ones. There's not a flat road in Arkansas. So I was racing in the Ozarks and stuff, 15,000 feet of elevation, gain and loss. My next race, so I've been up in the ante. So my next race is Cruel Jewel in northern Georgia. It's on the most difficult trail in the South USA, which is the Duncan Ridge Trail. I mean, some places have 20% elevation, grade. But this race, Paul, 104 miles, 32,000 feet of gain and loss.
So my mind just fell out of my head there. I can't.
It's kind of crazy. It's mostly a hiking race, but it's going to be the biggest challenge I've ever had, and it's got cutoffs every aid station. But I'm really good in 2-day races. I mean, this could take me 35 to 40 hours to finish. Sleep deprivation doesn't bother me. Heat doesn't bother me. So I've been training with my hiking on my treadmill and in my ruck and my weights, just to build up strength, because this race is almost all climbing. You're just climbing the whole time.
It's unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah.
I got to get, we don't need to talk about the details now, but after we're done actually recording, I would love to talk with you about when you're going to be there, to see if maybe I can free up some time, because you're going to be fairly close to me at that point. Maybe I can.
Sure. It's May 19th. Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So I'm moving to these higher level races, and if I finish Cruel Jewel, then I qualify for other really difficult races like Hard Rock in Colorado. So this is like a qualifier for the other crazy races.
Gotcha.
So I've moved into the more experienced ultra racing, difficulty racing. There are a lot of flat races out there you can go and do entry level, and I've done those for years. I always tell everyone, there is not an easy 100-miler out there. I mean, they have different things that can take you out. If it's flat or it's hot or it's mountains, you have to prepare for them. But the ones I'm targeting now are the more mountainous races in different parts of the U.S.
I was going to say, man, after you do that Cruel Jewel, I can't imagine something harder than that. Like everybody always talks about, like, Western states is kind of like where they ultimately want to get to. It's like the crown jewel. Have you ever run Western states, or does that seem too easy now? Even?
Well, it's a tough one too, but Western states you have to be in the lottery, and I've been in the lottery for 4 years. So I do qualifiers every year to get in the Western States lottery, which happens every December. I've been qualified for 4 years, and so every year the tickets in the lottery double. So this year in December, I'll have 8 tickets in the lottery, but there's over 6,000 people trying to get into a race that only holds 300.
Yeah.
So it's really tough, but over the next few years, I should get into that. But that's a really tough race too, because, it starts at Squaw Valley, you go up into the high parts of the Sierra Nevadas, and then you go into the canyons, which are very hot. So, and then you finish in Auburn, California. That's a really tough race too. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. I cannot wait for you to get in, because I mean, eventually you're going to get there, and it's going to be.
Yeah, the next, hopefully this year, but definitely within the next few years, because every year if I don't get in this year, next year I have 16 tickets. So. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're just increasing your odds every year. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, you brought up something that, we've been touching on it, but I want you to talk a little bit, because this is so, as a coach, and I know you're qualified as a coach too, so I know you understand this just as well as I do, but the importance of strength training, the importance of cross training. How do you how does that affect your life as a runner? And what do you recommend for other people who are watching this that they
Yeah.
do at the bare minimum?
My philosophy is you should do something every day. And I always say, and this is not my quote, but I use it a lot, is it's better to be consistently good instead of occasionally great. And what I mean by that is you should do something every day. I don't care if your Achilles hurts or what hurts. You can go swimming, you can lift weights. And there are times when I can't run. I mean, I've been really beat up. If you look at my Strava, I've mostly been hiking and weightlifting since end of February. And the reason is from January till the end of February, I did so many ultras, the equivalent of 8 marathons. So I really beat myself up. So what I'm doing now, I have a big gap until my next race in May, which is coming up in 4 weeks. But it's mostly weight training every day. And then it's also from hobby related. I like weight training as much as I like running.
Yeah,
You know?
gotcha.
And if you follow my channel, I've also got into calisthenics, burpees, and push-ups. You really can. You don't need a bunch of equipment. I have a lot of equipment in my gym, but you really don't need that. I've started something 3 weeks ago where I was doing 100 push-ups a day, and now I'm up to 140 per day. And it's really made a huge difference in my strength. Now you can do those with burpees or a mixture or whatever, but the strength training is so important. I learned this many years ago. My first 100 miler, I was racing in Javelina 100, which is in the desert outside of Phoenix. And I had been running 22 hours. I'd finished 82 miles and my lower back gave out. It hurt so bad that I was leaning forward, Paul. And that race, you're not allowed to use hiking poles, so I had nothing to save me.
Gotcha.
So I had to DNF at 82 miles after suffering for 21 hours.
Oh,
Then fly home. So after that, I said, strength training is going to be a big part of my life. So I literally do strength training every day. And now if sometimes on the weekends, I may, you might see in my live streams, I may go 4 or 5 hours, just chatting with friends, taking it easy. But I work out everything because I really believe that, especially in ultra running or any kind of long endurance activity, even marathon, that you're using muscles in every part of your body, not just your legs. People think that you only need to do strength training in your legs. That's not true. You need to do everything because if your core is very strong, it will really help you a lot, especially as you get older.
Exactly.
And I also use it for filling in times when I'm injured or I just don't feel like running. It's that way I can keep my motto of doing something every day, because I literally do something every day. Sometimes I might just get on my ski machine. I've done ultras on my ski machine. People say, why do you ski all the time? Well, the reason I have a ski RG is because it's the same movement as my hiking poles. So I'm going to be using my hiking poles in my next race more than 30 hours.
Yeah.
So it builds up to strength, but it's also a great full body workout. A ski machine is what they use in CrossFit competitions. So it's a great full body workout.
Oh, absolutely.
Or you can just do weight training.
Yeah.
Burpees, push-ups, whatever. If I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't buy so much equipment, because what I've learned from calisthenics, just doing 100 push-ups a day, which I started 3 weeks ago, it's been improving my strength, maybe more so than my weights. Calisthenics is really effective because you can do it without equipment. If you're traveling, you can do it in a hotel room. Highly recommend that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I limit myself to 50 push-ups a day as part of my core routine. And yeah, it makes a huge difference because, not to talk too much about myself, but I think this is relevant in this part of the conversation, is that, since I finished my last marathon, I've only got like 5 weeks before, this coming weekend where I jump in and try to do it again. And in that short a period, I didn't really want to wear myself out too much doing my usual 2 to 3 times a week strength routine with free weights. And so I've only been doing, believe it or not, only one strength routine a week with the free weights. But I've noticed that I'm surprised at how fit I am remaining and how strong I'm remaining just from like the body weight resistance stuff that I'm doing during my daily core routine, like the push-ups. It really, really makes a huge difference. And a lot of people don't give it the credit that it's due. So
Yeah,
yeah, well
it helps a
taken.
lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I have like a carpet mat in front of my desk, stand up desk, and I'll do sets of 20 to 25, and then I'll log them. And then in the day, I can see how many I ended up with. But my goal is I want at least 5 sets per day. So, like yesterday, I had 140. People say, "Whoa, do 100, man, that's really difficult." It is. But just like in ultra running, when I'm running 100 miles or 200 miles or whatever, in my mind, I'm running 10K at a time. I'm running to the next aid station. Same thing when you do push-ups. When I first started, I could only do 10 or 12 in a set.
Mhm.
Now I blow through 20. So right now my set is 20. I'll do 20, and then maybe the next hour I'll do 20, or I may wait a few hours. But by the end of the day, I hit my goal, and that's all
Exactly.
that matters, you know. So
Oh, exactly. That's cumulative work, and your body knows the difference. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's great stuff. So, Richard, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, and we're
Okay.
going to talk, if you're willing, to your interest in YouTube. And you alluded to this earlier, but what got you interested?
Yeah,
How'd you
good
start,
question.
and
Good
what do you
question.
think so far?
Um, the reason, well, two parts of that. The reason I got into it was I kind of wanted to share what I was doing, and a lot of my family live in different places, and I thought that if I posted it on YouTube, they could access that.
How
And
cool.
then another reason was my kids were getting involved. They wanted to game. They're big time gamers, and the gamers all post their stuff on YouTube. And just like in the gaming, I got involved in the gaming so I could teach my kids how to do it. I mean, I'm a very good Fortnite player and
Oh,
Roblox, all
wow.
these games. Yeah,
That's
I
so
even play in
cool.
tournaments sometimes with my son. Yeah, but I had to learn the game so I could help them. Same thing with YouTube, and that's what I did. I mean, my daughter, she's 7 years old, but she's now uploading her own videos to YouTube.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so they've learned a lot about computers and stuff like that. But that's the reason I got into it. And in the beginning, it was kind of fun, but now I've kind of, over the last few months, I've really spent more time in it and see that maybe I can turn it into kind of a side business. And then, as we've chatted before, I'd like to eventually get involved in some coaching too, you know, because I went through the RCA certification a few years ago.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do that. So kind of spinning it around to have, it's kind of a side business now. So I'm doing product reviews and, you know, starting to make, you know, learn how to do it and what content people will actually look at.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I think it's been harder than my day job.
I'll
You
tell you,
know,
YouTube can consume your mind for hours on end each day if you
yeah,
let
you know, I was so focused on, you know, getting to subscribers, but I learned now that the subscribers part's the easy part. It's the watch hours. It's the hard part.
it. Exactly.
But I've learned a lot, you know, in the last few months. I've been doing it almost 2 years, but I think in the last 3 or 4 months, I've learned more than I did in the previous year and a half.
Wow.
So it's been fun, but it's also been challenging. And, you know, I've learned a lot and, you know, also been able to teach my kids some things about it too. You know, I still check their videos before they go from private to public, you know, and,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
you know, and I've learned a lot about editing. When I first started, I didn't know anything about editing. I mean, I'm not real good in software, but now I'm really good in DaVinci. You know, I taught myself how to use editing software.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's a big part that,
yeah,
people who watch our channels, they don't realize just, yeah, it can get technical. I mean, you spend a lot of time just trying to figure things out, you know. Most people
yeah.
think you just kind of like put a camera in front of yourself and start talking, and that's that. But yeah, there's a lot
No,
involved.
that's easy. Yeah.
Very cool. So, Richard, I'm gonna switch gears with you again. Now, I didn't give you any warning about this, but trust me, there's nothing coming up now that's too hard. But I like to play a little game during these subscriber spotlights that I call this or that.
Okay.
And what I'll do is just give you two options, and you just choose one, and we'll move on to the next. And you don't have to justify your answers, but if you want to, feel free. So
Okay.
let's just get started here. First one's going to be dead easy, but roads or trails?
Oh, that's definitely trails.
Cool.
I still run a lot on the roads. I run on the roads to get to the trails, and
Gotcha.
I have nothing against the roads, but I definitely enjoy the trails.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, and with the beautiful trails you have around you, I can see why. Just amazing stuff. Okay, so training or racing?
I consider racing training. So I don't really I'm not, when I go out there, I'm competing against myself, and I consider race kind of a celebration of my training. So
Gotcha.
when you're doing 100-mile, 100K events, it's so difficult to finish, and probably 50% do, that a finish is a win for me. Now,
Yeah.
if I pass a bunch of people in the last 10 miles, that's great. But to be honest, I never look at the age group results or anything. Now, if I make a top 10 overall, I'll look at that, but I'm
Yeah.
not so focused on that. I'm really just racing against myself. And sometimes I've raced that event before.
Hmm.
So, like I did an event, a 100-miler in Texas in January, where this year I cut an hour and a half off, So that's a win for me. Not only did I
That's
finish, but I did it
huge.
an hour and a half faster. So,
That's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So I'm going to ask, I've got one more of these for you. Running or lifting?
Oh, that's a tough one. Previous years, I would say running, but lately, because I'm so focused on improving my upper body, that I would say lifting. So it's a close one. And also, I would also tell you that I'm very interested in getting into Spartan racing. Spartan is,
Oh, yeah.
but my challenge is the long trail events. I could even do their 24-hour events. Have so many obstacles, like rings and stuff, where you have to climb. My upper
Hmm.
body strength is not enough, because I'm a 200-pound runner. So that is my focus. I would like to do high rocks racing, maybe Tough Mudder, Spartan racing.
Yeah.
That's definitely in my future, but the lifting is going to help me with that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny because, I think it was the Second Flat podcast I was just listening to on my last run. And they were talking about how, like one of these guys who's like super fast, like a 2:30 marathoner type of guy. And he
Mhm.
just ran his first Tough Mudder. And he was like, dude, I couldn't believe it. I finished top 3 because he doesn't do a heavy lifting or anything. And he was saying, but the distances in between each of the obstacle courses was so large that he would just die on the obstacle part. But he was moving so fast on the distances between them that he still managed to be faster than everybody else.
Running wins everything. Like in triathlon, which I still follow a lot of the top athletes. I was watching the other day, Lionel Sanders, which is the top guy. They had Oceanside, which is the first big triathlon of the year. He said it used to be that you had to run a 107 half marathon to win that race. This year it was a 106. That's flying. And that's after, Paul, that's after they have swam and biked.
Yeah, I know. It just
Amazing.
scares me that there are people that fit out there. Yeah.
Yeah, running a 106 marathon after swimming a couple miles and doing 60 miles on the bike. It's amazing.
Oh, it's
But
beyond amazing.
the way they always say it is, you can lose a race on the swim and bike, but you win it on the run.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Well, that's
runners,
good to know. It gives
the
me
top
hope for the
runners.
future.
Yeah, the top runners. So in the Spartan racing, the same. The top guy in Spartan racing was in 100K here in Texas, and he did his first ultra, and he got like 5th place, and it was one of the top ultras in the U.S. So the running, if you're a really good runner, you can jump into most any sport that has running, and you win it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's good to know. I mean, eventually, despite the fact that I've been promising this for 2 years, eventually I'm going to get off the roads and get on the trails and try some of this other stuff. Maybe even triathlon.
You're
just to
so
say I
fast,
did.
Paul. You'll be on the. Don't worry about age group. You're going to be on the podium.
Yeah. I appreciate your encouragement and support, but I don't know if I believe that bit.
Yeah.
But, sir, I think you've kind of touched on it, and even in this last answer. But I want to give you an opportunity to talk maybe a little more philosophically about how running and lifting have changed your life for the better.
Okay. It keeps me motivated, and work and life can bring you down. I will say that I didn't get into running to lose weight or inspired by anyone. I kind of jumped into it because it was my hobby. I was into cycling, and I got into running from boxing, but it became a way of life, and it just makes me feel better, and I don't have any stress. Easy going because of my exercise, I think.
Gotcha.
And there's so many things you can do out there in endurance sports that you can always keep motivated. There's always, if you get sick of one sport, I always tell myself that, if I can't run anymore, I'll just jump into cycling again.
Yeah.
Or do something else. I was really motivated when watching the Boston Marathon. I never paid attention to the wheelchairs, but I was watching that guy. I was like, man, if I ever lose my leg, I'm gonna do wheelchair running.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Like this was, I think, his 5th win at Boston, and he just keeps getting
amazing. Then see that lady have problems with her wheel, and she pulls out a toolkit.
Yeah, she had to do repairs, and she still won by like 2 minutes.
Yeah, so no excuses for me. I will always be involved in sport. Doesn't matter what the age, what's going on. Unless I get like really sick or something, I'm gonna stay active. That's my goal. But it's really changed my life to positive. Just my attitude. No stress, and also it's a way of communicating with others. People. There's a lot of people involved in running. There's a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people that if someone doesn't have running in common and work in common, sometimes I'm the good person in the room that doesn't talk very much, But if I have weightlifting or running or work or something, I can talk for a long time. So.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how the running, and I assume weightlifting and cycling and swimming community are just like they're so welcoming. It's just and even here on YouTube, it's like YouTube is obviously infamous for being a negative place where you got to have a thick skin, and that's what I was kind of preparing myself for when I first started my channel. But it's like the running community online is just so positive. It's just like I can count on these fingers the number of bad experiences I've had over the last like 3 years. It's amazing.
Yeah, same for me. I mean, I've had some few experiences. I had one person tell me on a short they wanted their 10 seconds back, and that was probably the most rude thing someone said to me. But most everybody are very positive, and I've met a lot of friends, and also learn a lot. Calisthenics is a great one. Running. I learned a lot from people like yourself, Paul. And then calisthenics, I have a lot of friends that I knew nothing. I realized I was doing some things wrong, and they'll chat with you and share with you. It's the same for me. That's how reason I got started in YouTube, is just kind of share and meet friends and talk about running, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's just a great community. So I'm glad to hear that. YouTube and the running and lifting and everything you do has changed your life in such a positive way. That's great, and I hope that's a lesson that everybody watching this takes to heart. It's amazing how your mental outlook can change and get so much more positive if you just start getting active. It's just amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a recipe for success. My brother got involved in ultra running a couple years back. He's lost, mainly from me. I mean, he never did the road running part, just jumped right into trail running, and he's lost over 40 or 50 pounds, and now he's doing the races with me. He's at the Cruel Jewel starting line with me.
That's awesome.
But 3 or 4 years ago, he was 50 pounds heavier. He was smoking, all kinds of problems. So it really, it takes a lot of work to get started, but if you put some time and effort into it, it can really change your life, change your lifestyle.
Absolutely. Now it's funny because what you just said would have been a perfect answer to the question I'm about to ask you, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I think you probably have a lot more wisdom left to share. So I'm hoping that you can share a favorite piece of advice for other runners.
The best thing would be to start slow. It doesn't matter if you're running or weightlifting. Increase by 10% a week. I've even broke my rule on weightlifting and got injured one time. It really applies to every sport. If you're increasing weight or increasing mileage, 10% a week, it's a good rule of thumb. And don't be so caught up in the books, regarding tapering, and everyone's different. I almost never taper, but that's for me. I would never coach someone that way. But, you have to find out what's best for you. But the key thing is to try to do something every day, even if it's cross training, core work. If you don't feel like running, go for a hike, go for a walk. Walking and hiking is very good. for you. Go swimming if you like swimming.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something you can do, and it'll really help you towards your goals. And don't be so tied up in your plans. You know, you got to listen to your body. You know, if something's hurting, you know, you have a niggle or something, do something else. You know, I've had days, some days my foot hurts, and I don't know why. You know, it's sometimes I have there's a ball of nerves in one of my feet that gets aggravated. I'll just weightlift, or I'll get on my ski machine. I've even done ultras on my ski machine, which I've done live streams on. You can do all kinds of crazy things. You know, you can do rowing, cycling. You know, do something every day. I think that's really important. Like I said earlier, it's better to be consistently good than occasionally great. So doing, if you're couch to 5K and you're only working out twice a week, that's fine. But as you get more experience and you develop yourself to where you can do 4 or 5 days per week, then you can do something every day. You know, it may just be core work or something, but do something every day. And it's good for your mind, your mental strength. It's not just for your body.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Otherwise, you'll be thinking that you're wasting. Sometimes the opposite can happen. You get to a point where you're so involved in your training that taking a day off drives you crazy.
Oh, that's where I'm at. Yeah, that's why I have.
Yeah, you can. And if that's the case, just do some calisthenics. Do something that you don't normally do, or do some stretching or something. That's very valid exercise.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the point you're making, Richard, is that consistency is key, and it doesn't mean you have to do the one thing consistently. Just being active consistently is going to raise the floor of your fitness, and you're just going to be capable of doing more and other things as times go by. So,
yeah, exactly, and that's why all coaches say. And if you listen to pros on podcasts, the podcasters always say, well, if you had to tell the age group runner anything, this is from the pros, anything that would help them, what would you tell them? And almost always they say the same thing. Don't do the same workout every day.
Yeah.
And, you know, people will go to the park and run around the park and do the same 5 miles every day. You know, that's much better than doing nothing. But if you're really trying to improve yourself, I'm not talking about couch to 5K, but let's say you have a few years experience and, you know, you need to get out there and do a speed work day or tempo day, a fartlek day, you know, long run day. You need to mix up your training. And if you don't feel like running, go weight training. But what you don't want to do is go out there and run the same mileage on the same course every day. So
exactly. Yeah. It'll give you a good base. It'll give you a good base. But yeah, you absolutely have to vary your training. And like you said, whether you're talking about running or weightlifting or anywhere in between, there are different ways of using that exercise to better your training, to make gains more quickly and more safely. So well said.
Definitely.
Cool, sir. I've really thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, Richard, and I want to give everybody a chance to find you, not just on YouTube, but throughout all of your different social media outlets. So I'm hoping you'll share those with everybody now, and I will also link those below so that people can just get there really quickly.
Okay. Well, on YouTube, it's Richard Runs Trails, and I also use LinkedIn. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, it's Richard Elkins Jr. But I also, for running, use Twitter. You know, there's a big running community on Twitter. It's at Runner RWE, which is also my call sign on YouTube. And then if you search by Runner RWE on Strava, you can find me there. But there's a link to my Strava there's a link to my Twitter and my Strava on the front of my YouTube page. So yeah, that's the easy way to find me. But I used to have Facebook and Instagram and all these things, but I found that if I focus more time on a few platforms, I do much better. And I just don't have time to do Instagram and Facebook and all those things. It just takes so much of my time. It's doing a little bit on all of them doesn't work for me. I try to reply to people real quick on YouTube and Twitter and try to be engaged. And so I only use a few outlets. So it's just Twitter, Strava. I also use Strava more than just Strava. I post my videos on there and I post all kinds of stuff on there. So Strava is very important to me. Very cool. Twitter, Strava, and YouTube is a way to find me.
Very cool. All right. And like I said, I will link all of that below. So everybody expand that dialog box below and start clicking. All right, folks. I think, Richard, thank you for being here again. It was really enlightening. And, everybody get over to Richard's channel and get subscribed. It's just awesome stuff. When it's late at night, I've eaten dinner and I'm just kind of getting ready to just kind of fall over and, fall asleep too early, I'll just turn on YouTube. I'll go to Richard's channel, and there he is lifting, and I'm suddenly energized all over again. So yeah, if you need a little bit of pep and pick up and get up and go in your life, I couldn't recommend Richard's channel more highly. So, sir, thank you for being here. All right, have a good one.
Okay, thank you. Bye, Paul.
Bye-bye.